with the basic ideas for why we want a numeral system in mind, as well as the most fundamental piece of any numeral system, although hopefully that first one is fairly obvious. We can finally give a name to the system that we use, which is what's called the Hindu-Arabic, or in some contexts, just Arabic numeral system. It's probably a fact that most of you didn't know, is that our system, which uses its digits 0 through 9, dates back to the 3rd century BCE in India with the Brahmi numeral system, which then came through the Arabic world down into North Africa and then over to Spain with the writing of the Codex Vigilanus before, in the next few hundred years, getting greater adoption through the works of Fibonacci, who is a mathematician whose name may ring a couple of bells in your head if you think in spirally terms, as well as the invention of the printing press, making basic math a lot more accessible for the people in that time period, where from these 10 most basic pieces, we then make combinations in terms of powers of 10 in order to represent larger values. So for example, in our Hindu-Arabic number system, if we want to talk about the number 439, we don't just see this as 439 separate things. We can think of this as 4 groups of 100 things, along with 3 groups of 10 things, and 9 groups of single things. Remember, when we're talking about our number system, we're always thinking in terms of what goes on with our hand, or more appropriately, hands, which means we're always thinking in terms of heads. So, if we want to be even more specific about this, we could then bring this down as 4 groups of 10 squared terms, plus 3 groups of 10 to the first terms, plus 9 groups of 10 to the 0 power things. So I did maybe lie or assume some Frenchness when I said that these exponents were going to be natural numbers. Technically speaking, we should always bear in mind the 0 exponent, because anything raised to the 0 power is 1. So you can always think of these single things as being like the exponent 0 for our single digit representation values. But here, we have broken down that into our pieces in terms of 10, so the main thing to remember whenever we're thinking of the Hindu-Arabic, or, as we'll talk about later, any base 10 numeration scheme, we're always talking about it in terms of combinations of powers of 10. And this is one way we can go with this, so let's take a little bit as well to think about how we might go the other way. That is, if we've got some pile of 10 powers, what actual number that would end up being.